Hello, welcome. So I would like to tell you a bit about the theory behind voice dialogue so that the more intellectual and analytical part of us or conceptual can maybe agree on a concept and you can get more of a sense of voice dialogue and the process that we're going into. And so voice dialogue, like IFES, have been created in the 80s. And it's a beautiful story of a creation of voice dialogue because Hal and Sidra Stones were a couple of psychologists and they used to do a lot of talking therapy. And so they created, they at some point had an intuition as they were talking. One of them asked the other, why don't you move into the part of you that said this thing, the last thing that the other person said. And so that person, I think it was Sidra, it was the woman, moved into the part, and it happened to be a child part. And so they were really struck to see how this part really looked like a child, and he talked like a child, and from the inside, he really felt like being a child, and so that's how they broke through a new layer of experience that are the parts world. And so over the 40 years they practiced and developed the practice, and they created a model that they call the model of consciousness and the psychology of cells. And it's quite a long title, but basically what it wants to address is that as human beings we are alive in many different consciousness at the same time. And in voice dialogue, as well in full expression is the other practice that I offer. We move between three different consciousness more specifically. The first one is the parts. They call them the subpersonalities or the cells, energies. In full expression, we call them masks. It's all the different aspects in us. And there is the children parts, there is the controller, the protector, the lover, the poet, the adventurer, the sexual ones, the weird creatures, and the bullies and the bullied. So they are all, I like to call them the inner village. They are very different, one and the other, and each one of them has a unique way of feeling when you're inside of them, the way they feel in the body, their way of moving, talking, their way of experiencing the world, their way of in your life, the story of the way they've been present. And sometimes some of them are like little gangs. You might have like the critic working with the pusher and the controller together. They're a little unit. And so all of these it's one state of consciousness, the parts, the cells here. And then the second state of consciousness is what they call the ego. And it's really confusing, this word, because in so many spiritual traditions, ego is something that we need to get rid of. Here, what we mean by ego is us, beyond any identification. It's like when we are aware of part of us, there is a presence. When we take a moment to imagine a memory when we were 5, and we go into that memory, we can feel we exist. We existed there, we exist here. There's this presence that just stays all along our life. And so this is the ego. And a lot of the time, this place of presence is being crowded by parts that have been coming. And so most of the time, as human beings, we function in life. We operate through life, whether we are conscious of parts or not. We might be like trying to control everything, or pushing through, or feeling really shy, wanting to hide away. And this is what is called the operating ego, is the place that where we function in life, but there's no freedom. There's just like parts that are acting through us from probably an old time, like from when we are younger. And so the work of voice dialogue is to move from this operating ego to aware ego, to a place where we can become aware of, oh, here is my controller coming in. Or here is my child that feels like awkward. Or here's the part of me that is dissociating or is dreaming and fantasizing about changing the world. And we can have a choice to say like, yeah, I want to have the controller part in me because I need it right now. I'm at work and I need to control what I'm doing. Or actually I don't. Or yes, I want to take the dreamy part because it helps me to create and dream about what I really want to offer into this world, and it gives me new ideas. Or actually no, right now I don't want because I'm doing spreadsheets. And so this is the Where We Go, where we can start to become aware of parts rising, and then we can choose what to do with them, to invite them and to use like the beautiful richness that they have, whether it is the lover, the poet, or the perfectionist. They have incredible skills. Or we can choose actually right now, you not need it. And so this is the Where We Go process. It's dynamic. And we learn to juggle with the parts, and there's something called a DJing in voice dialogue, where you can start to also blend them, which is really exciting. Have a bit of different parts, making a mix for what you need to go to work, or to go and see your lover, or to go create projects, or anything else. So that's the second state of consciousness, the Where We Go. And then the third state of consciousness is awareness. And awareness is a place where we can only tap into for half a second, sometimes longer, sometimes less. And it's an incredible portal. Feels like spiritual way. In a way it is. It's like a place where new information can just come through. When we separate from all those parts, this density, and we step into becoming aware of them, there's a lot of space that is being created. And so we are using awareness quite a lot in voice dialogue. That's one of the big part of the magic that we create into this practice. And so in voice dialogue, we move between parts, selves. In the Where We Go, moving maybe from operating in go into becoming more aware and starting to play with parts, and then we tap into awareness. So that's the model of consciousness. And the piece around the rest of the model that they created, because it's called the model of consciousness and the psychology of selves. The psychology of selves wants to address that as human beings, we come with a lot of uniqueness and a lot of different part of us that create our fingerprints, something really unique about ourselves, and it's usually really entwined with our vulnerability. Our vulnerability being this open-heartedness of the child, this ability to open and to receive love and to give is extremely powerful. And at the same time, this openness as we grow up might be seen and cherished and encouraged and supported and protected, or it might be not seen or neglected, or it might be blamed or attacked. And so really quickly we learn as a human being to protect this core, because it's so open that it's really painful when something aggressive or painful comes in. And so we learn to adapt ourselves. And I love to say that my experience, or the best word that I can bring here, is like this feeling like we have like a library of parts that as we grow up, we upload in our system. Feels a bit like technology, but that's the best word I find so far. And so the first part that we usually bring up into the system is the pleaser. And you can see how a baby, depending on the way the caretaker, often the mother, responds, the baby will adapt and will make sure that she responds, that they get her attention. And so the baby will adapt this way. And then as we grow up, we might become this good girl or bad girl, or the clever one or the dreamy one, the rebel, the controlling one, the one that looks after the parents, and all those parts coming to protect our vulnerability. And this ability to have so many of those parts is incredible because it makes us as human beings really super adaptive. For good or bad, even if we are living a very distorted, potentially even dangerous environment, we survive a lot of the time because those parts comes in. And what happens is that as we grow up, we think that we are those parts. We are the controlling one. We are the one that needs to get everything right, or we are the one that it's not present, it's really far away. And so the work of voice dialogue is to discover what are those parts that drives my lives, and we call them the primary selves. And in the process, we move into one part at a time, and me as a facilitator or any facilitator will talk to each one of your parts like if they were different people, because they are different people. And so the job in voice dialogue as a facilitator is to get really curious about the part and learn about the history and the way they are in the body and how they are anchored and the way that they rises and the gift that they have and the way that it takes over. And so you move into one part and really allowing the energy to be excavated and released and understand more like the context in which that part is. And then you step out of that part and have a sense of it by your side. And this is with awareness, you become aware of the energetics of that part. And what usually happens when you do that is that the opposite from this part rises inside. So if I've been going to a part that wants to please everybody, and I separate from that one, usually what comes through, it might be the part that just wants to kill people, or the part that wants to be aggressive, or the part that's rebel and doesn't care about what anyone says. And so the work in voice dialogue is that you would go into this part, the facilitator will help you to excavate it, bringing it to his fullness. And then you will step out of it and then be in between those two parts there and feel the tension of opposites. And that's the core aspect in voice dialogue. The Helen Sidra Stones, who created this practice, called this process of sweating between polarities, because it takes energetic awareness to be able to do this, to be like, oh, here's my good girl, here's my bad girl. They are both welcome. And then I can choose, okay, I'm going to be good now because I'm going to an interview, or because I want to please my partner, or actually I'm going to be bad because I want to protect myself, or I want to play at being a bad girl. And so this is the process of voice dialogue. And at the same time as we get to know all our primary parts, slowly we just bring back all the parts that have been disowned and are in the basement or in the underworld of our psyches. And it's really important to bring this disowned part, because they do come in other ways in our life, because they are full of energies and they need to be able to flow. And so they might be coming through when we have arguments and we lose temper, lose our temper. Then it just comes, or when we're drunk, or when we're really tired, or in dreams they might be coming through, or they might become also through illnesses. And so all those energies in voice dialogue slowly are just made space for around us, so that we can let them flow freely and also use them, which is what I love so much about voice dialogue. You can use your Kali, you can use the part that just want to be outrageous and bold and irreverent, from a middle place when you choose, okay, this is relevant now. I might be, in a manifestation outside and I want to take the microphone and be bold, and then I can take this power from these aspects there, and then I can also let them go. So this is the process or the understanding of the psychology of cells and how they are created in us, how they already exist and how they come through our life, and how we can make space for them and learn to use them as a team. It's like you have a whole team inside of you that you can use to create what you want. That was my introduction for you. I hope it feels inspiring. Guessing it might feel maybe resonant in some ways, and so if so, I would love to hear. It is definitely such a fascinating world. It feels like we are in the time of the world where we are discovering the richness of, like, we have so many colors inside of us that we can learn to use. And also it's very important to realize that in relationships we might be triggered, a part of us might be triggered with a part of someone else, but actually it's just one part of the inner village, and they are also this incredible spectrum of aspects. And so it gives me a lot of excitement about being together as humans with this understanding and aliveness. Thank you for watching, and yeah, reach out if you have any questions or reflections.